head through this barren land. Oh, yes, sir. But as I go from day to day, I can hear my Savior say, trust me, child. Come on, I'll hold your hand.
I'm coming up on the rough side of the mountain.
Take your time and say it, that's all right.
I must hold to God.
Yes, sir.
His powerful hand.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming up on the rough side of the mountain.
That's all right, John. Yes, sir.
I'm doing my best to make it in.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. I'm coming up, Lord.
Oh yes,
I'm coming up, Lord. Yeah.
thank you, Jesus.
Although my burden, sometimes it press me down, Lord. But if I can only keep the faith, I have strength just to run this race. Oh, I'm looking for my starry crown. Oh, hallelujah. I want to help you say it.
I'm coming up
I'm in love, Jesus.
on the rough side of the mountain.
That's all right, you.
I must hold to God,
Hold on.
His powerful hand. I'm coming up
Coming up, Jesus.
on the rough side of the mountain.
Yes, Lord.
I'm doing my best to make it
You
in.
know what, you? This old race
It's okay.
will soon be over. Hallelujah.
Yes, it will.
Why if there be no more race for me to run, Lord? Thank you, Jesus. But I got to stand before God's throne.
Yes, sir.
All my heartaches will be gone. Oh, I hear my Savior say, welcome home. Hallelujah.
I'm coming up
Coming up, Jesus.
on the rough side of the mountain.
What's going on? Power to the people, man. We back to do this maintenance. Yeah, power to the people, man. We back to do this maintenance. We ain't did this in a while, but as is customary over here at Opinionated, grad school is temporarily shut down because we covered what the haters did not want us to cover. So, before I get off into my commentary, I got to tell everybody, go and support my channel. If you don't want to donate, then go over here to opinionated.com. We got several different things that you could buy. We got the Holla at the Landlord shirts. Okay, the Holla at the Landlord shirts. We got these in many different colors. Chicago River. Holla at the Landlord. We got a nice little picture right there, the Trump Tower on there. That's the Trump Tower. Okay. And then it's a caption on here that says, Mr. President, your tenant needs your clout. Okay, so you can buy that. Again, these come in many different colors. Okay. All right. We also have the bridge t-shirts or whatever. You know, you got a wonderful depiction of myself as the host over here on the bridge. And then it says we're going to the bridge with the muddy boots right there. Okay, that's an exclusive. You know, definitely buy that, support that. What else do we have here? We got Kells Barker shirts. Okay, that's R. Kelly depicted as Hannibal Barker. Says elephants don't swat flies. Those shirts are affordably priced. You know, we also got the hoodies. We got many different shirts, man. The opinionated sweatpants, we got those. We got the Bombers jackets. We got the Cognac Chronicles. We got all that shit. Okay? So, you know, if you want to support the channel, by all means, go over here to opinionated newsnetwork.com. Also, you know, if you are in need of a dog, okay, if you are in need of a dog and you want some high quality canines, come on over to linchpinpresses.com. Okay, go to linchpinpresses.com. Okay, and you know, you will see all of our dogs over here. Okay, we have many different dogs that we have produced. Okay, all right, we got many different dogs that we have produced. Okay, all right, so with no further ado, listen, also, if you want to send in that motherfucking lifetime check, thank you, Miss Fat, for posting it. Now, I did not expect all of y'all folks to be here with me tonight. I actually was going to push this message to the morning. Okay, I was going to push this message to the morning because, as you may know, I am now working evenings. Alright, and so with me working evenings, Trent it's difficult for me to maneuver around in the way that I was once maneuvering, so to say. But with no further ado, let me see here how I can do this. Okay. So we are going to talk about the two thieves. And before, I get into this, let's see something real quick. Let's see something. Okay. So before we get into this, can y'all write in the chat what two thieves means to y'all? Will y'all be so kind as to write into the chat what y'all think that two thieves mean? Sleepy, listen. All it takes is about a good 3-4 minutes for me to get lit up, and I'm gonna leave Earth. So, that ain't the issue. Minutes for me to get lit up. If y'all can go ahead and tell me what the two thieves mean to y'all. All right. Don't all speak at once. If y'all done went to sleep, then just write sleep in the chat. If y'all still up here with me, write woke in the chat. If y'all still with me, write woke in the chat. interested. Alright, if y'all still, they represent sinners. Okay. Okay, they represent hung on the cross with Jesus. Okay. Alright, so we starting to get some, okay, sleepy at work. Okay, so let's talk about these two thieves, man. Let's talk about these two thieves. Because these two thieves are symbolic of kind of what's going on right now in situations that we all know about. With that being said, again, I might redo this whole message in the morning. I might pop back up and redo this whole message in the morning. But let's get through this. Jesus hung on the cross, right? And as you see, you know, I had, this is why it took me a while to get on live, because I had to go find some pictures of Jesus that was black. All right. Now you see he over here with these niggas that Jesus look like Prince. All right. And then he being held up by these people that look like they're in the color purple and shit. But listen, Jesus hung on the cross, and what it says, this is Matthew the 32nd, Matthew 27. Yeah, Matthew 27:38. And it says, as they was going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon. They forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. They offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. Then when they had him crucified, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head, they placed a written charge against him, said, "This is Jesus, King of the Jews." Now, before I get into the meat of this, I want to reread that part. It says, when they crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots. Sitting down, they kept watch over him. Above his head, they placed a written charge against him, said, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." So basically, they went out of their way to make an example out of him. And as you see out here, you know, especially with what's going on in the world, the George Floyds, Eric Gardner, Breonna Taylor, all, you know, you name slain black person. The United States government has gone out of their way to make examples out of people. Okay? But I won't stop there. I will continue. Now, the two rebels were crucified with him, one with his right hand and the other with his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads, saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. He saved others, they said, but he can't save himself. He's the Lord King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we shall believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him, not if he wants him, for he said, "I am the Son of God." And in the same way, the rebels who crucified with him also heaped insults at him. Now, basically, that's people doubting you, okay? And many of us have had to go through our own individual battles with doubt. And sometimes you can go above and beyond the call of expectation. You can go above and beyond measure. You can go above and beyond the call of duty. But if you have doubt within yourself, then you won't achieve your goals. But the thing that I want to highlight here is the fact that the man on the cross, who they call Jesus, he had self-confidence. Okay, he knew who he was, even when they did not know who he was. And sometimes, man, you run into this type of shit out here where people will doubt your capabilities. They will doubt your greatness. It's an unwritten poem that says that you dare yourself to be great. Who am I not to be great? So we have to ask ourselves, who are we not to be great? The reason why come they cap us off and then they go to such stringent extremes to prevent us from learning our history, or they make it difficult for us to know our history beyond the part of being a conquered people, is because if you truly knew who you are, you would know where you have to return to. Okay? You would know that it's a calling up on you. See, the reason why come several doctrines are preached and they are talked about in the way that they are talked about is because they don't want to create a warrior class, because a warrior class will not be afraid of anything. And a person that's not afraid of anything is a very dangerous person. We have a bunch of folks who say, I ain't worried about nothing. It was a song that came out a couple years ago, say, nigga ain't worried about nothing. Ride around with that Nina. But when it comes time for that to be tested, for your balls to be tested, then you see where true men stand. Right here at his darkest hours, in the face of adversity, this guy that they called Jesus was being doubted. He was being faced with the adversity. He was being faced with people saying, you ain't who you say you are. You's a fake. You's a fraud. You can't possibly be that nigga. Look at you. You out here with me. Okay? They didn't believe him because he looked like it. He was walking the struggle that they walk. Now, in the black community, we got something that's called selling out. And selling out basically means that you are no longer in touch with your roots anymore. You no longer in touch with who you are. You done fell out of touch, you done fell out of whack, and you have forgotten where you have come from. And that is something that only plagues our community, because you got white folks. And white folks, it's an honor to sell out for white folks. Okay? I am somebody, Trent, who I come from the hood. I come from the ghetto. And the ghetto ain't nothing to be proud of. It shapes your character. But once your character is shaped, you have to leave the ghetto behind in order to get where the fuck you got to go. The old way of doing things, what worked yesterday, will not work today. And continuing to use dead strategy, or continuing to use a strategy that is no longer working, is the beginning of defeat. Okay? If you continue using a strategy that may have won you one battle, you are guaranteeing yourself that you are getting ready to lose more battles because you have not changed up your war strategy. Okay? You have to change up your war strategy. Now, we're going to get on to these two thieves, but I got to take y'all through this path or whatever. Remember what I was saying yesterday, that the journey is more important than the destination. Okay, right now we're here on the destination. People like, yo, hurry up, get to the point. No, we got to walk through this journey. Okay? Now, it says here when we go to the 40th verse, it says, saying, you are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days. Save yourself. Come down for the cross. If you are the Son of God, in the same way the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. He saved others, they said, but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, I am the Son of God. In the same way, the rebels who were crucified with him also heap insults on him. Now, the next thing that I got to say about that is that people were around Jesus, but completely missed the mark of exactly who he was. And he said, I am the Son of God. Okay? So it meant that he was you. He was you, okay? Or the he in this text. I am you, okay? And so when folks were mocking him, they were mocking themselves because they saw the reflection of themselves within him. Now, let's move right on along. Now, when we're talking about the two thieves, we are talking about an internal conflict. We're talking about a battle between your angels and demons, your higher consciousness and your lower consciousness, the good in you and the bad in you. Okay? That's what we are talking about. This is the battle that you are facing. And many of us go through battles every day. Some of us say, the old me would have did this. Or if you're a little bit older than that, you say, man, about 15 years ago, I would have been upside your head. But it's cool. I done got saved now. Do people still say that? Do people still say, since I done got saved? Okay? Because when I was coming up, folks used to say, boy, before I found my religion, I would XYZ. Okay? But this is fighting the piece of yourself that wants comfort, and then the other piece of yourself that wants growth. Growth and comfort, they don't mix. In order for you to grow, you might have to go to a place that's uncomfortable. But a lot of people get stuck in a comfort zone. This is how you get people who are stuck out here on welfare, and people have passed down a legacy of broken behavior. People have passed down a legacy of Section 8, a legacy of teen pregnancy, a legacy of fatherlessness, a legacy of deadbeat dads, a legacy of neglected children. This internal battle is the biggest battle that you face in life, because only you know what's right for you. Okay? Only you know what's real. Only you know what's in the back of your mind when you go to sleep at night. So if you ever want to defeat an opponent, people worry about other people when they going up against an opponent. And you worry about how folks will perceive you when you are facing your opponents. And this is what will lose you. Because there is no greater battle than the battle that you have within yourself. And if you want to defeat an enemy, the first strategy to defeat your enemy is make your enemy doubt their power. The key to beating a bigger, stronger, faster enemy is to make them doubt their own power. Okay? This is why for the Rumble in the Jungle, Muhammad Ali took George Foreman's punches and then went in and knocked him out. Because he took Foreman's best blows. He took everything that Foreman can throw at him, and he withstood all of that. And sometimes you have to be able to withstand the fire. A lot of people say that, okay, I couldn't have been rolling with Martin Luther King, because if they would have stick the water hose on me, I would have, and they wouldn't have did shit. They would have been a wet motherfucker. Come on, let's keep it real now. Let's keep it real. A lot of these motherfuckers who say, I couldn't have rolled with King because I ain't gonna let nobody whip my ass. They would have been a wet motherfucker with a whooped ass. Okay? Sometimes you have to withstand the blows. You have to persevere the fire in order to come out on that other side birthed anew. This is what the mythicism or the mythology behind the phoenix bird that falls into a dust and rearises from the ashes. This is what that mythology is about. Okay? It's about that internal strife, that internal conflict. Okay? This is what that's about. Moving right on along. Now, if you are still up and you heard of a movie called Star Wars, write Star Wars in the chat. Write Star Wars in the chat. If you still up and you heard of a movie called Star Wars, write Star Wars in the chat. If you still with me. I want to see how many people are still with me. How many of y'all still with me? Okay. All right, I guess everybody must be asleep then. Okay, so let's keep on rolling. Star Wars was written by George Lucas in the 70s. What people don't realize or what people don't know is George Lucas got the framework for Star Wars from a gentleman by the name of Joseph R Campbell. Joseph R Campbell wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Okay? And what this talks about is how the story, there's always a story arc or a storyboard for any character to become a hero. And they all pretty much follow the same path. Now, this is where he came up with the Luke Skywalker guy and Darth Vader or Anakin Skywalker. And so this is a 4-part thing. The first part is the call to adventure. This is where your movie comes in, your movie starts, and you'll have somebody appearing in the ordinary world. Or people will be living a normal, regular life, if you will. Okay? Some of y'all who watch BET movies and shit, y'all know when a BET movie comes on, then a BET movie be like, hey, we was chilling over Keisha's house one day, and next thing you know, it was not a normal day ever again, okay? And then they go into the storyline, okay? This hero with 1,000 faces, it takes you through the ordinary world. Then you get a call to adventure. The next thing is you get refusal. Okay, so let's take this through. Let's unpack this. You will be in the ordinary world, right? You will be living your regular mundane ass life. You get faced with the possibility, and your first reaction, the comfort in you, leads to number 3 on this wheel, which is refusal. Okay, you're gonna refuse the conquest. Then a mentor comes along and says, you know you can do this. You know that you are greater and powerful beyond measure. You are greater than what you give yourself credit for. You are bigger and badder than what you want to believe. You are that nigga. Ladies, you are that bitch. Or you are who you need to be. So the mentor comes along and he gives you that. Then they cross what is called the proverbial threshold. Once they get past the uneasiness Once you get past the denial or the refusal, you get over into acceptance. Okay? Once you accept that you have to conquer this demon, or you have to conquer this spiritual aspect that is greater than you, then you need to test yourself. Okay? This is where, when you saw the Rocky movie, Rocky 4, and Rocky 4 starts off with Carl Weathers, aka Apollo Creed, in the ring, getting the shit beat out of him to where he dies. And Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, looks at this and he says, "Oh, fuck no. This motherfucker, he hit with 2,000 pounds of force." But he doubts himself. He tells himself, I have gotten soft. I can't hang with this motherfucker. He'll kill me. He said, I'm rich now. I ain't the scrappy gutter cat that came from Philadelphia anymore. I'm no longer that guy. I'm rich. I got kids to think about. I'm married. I got to think about my wife. I got to think about my boo-boo. That was his life. This is what happened. And Mick stepped in, and Mick had to tell him, Rocky, you still a motherfucker. You still the best. You still that guy, champ. You still the dude. So he had to go and test himself. Okay, when we get to number 6 on this wheel, you can see the test that went on there when we were explaining the Rocky movie. Once to test himself, he went up into the Russian mountains. He started running through the snow. He started climbing the mountains barefooted. He started doing all types of chin-ups and pull-ups, and he ain't even had no heat on in the house. This motherfucker just burnt like 10 goddamn candles in order to test himself. Okay? In testing himself, he knew that which way he was gonna approach this. Okay? He was testing himself, and then his test got to become his approach, because his approach was, I have to be locked in. I gotta be hard body. Okay? When Floyd Mayweather went to go fight Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather didn't go with the new school shit that he didn't learn. He ain't go with the 2015 version of what was going on in the world. He went back to the old school shit of flipping tires, hitting tires with sledgehammers. He had to go back to his building blocks, go back to the fundamentals that got him to where he was. Then, they approached the ordeal. Okay, he went in, to go back to the Rocky thing, he went in, he got in the ring, and while he was in the ring, he was getting fucked up at first, but then he reached down inside of himself, and he pulled that thing that was in him that was great back out in order to prove it to himself once again. Once they got to that, then they had to go on the long road back. He beat Ivan Drago. He left Russia, went back to America, and went back to living his normal life. When we are talking about this hero with 1,000 faces, the best person that depicts this is Denzel Washington, because you got Denzel in Mississippi Messiah, you got Denzel as John Q, you have Denzel as Hurricane Carter, you got him as Alfonso, you got him as the captain in Antoine Fisher. Okay? You also have him as Malcolm X. And this is the hero with 1,000 faces. Now, you might have to get ugly. You might have to get down in the mud. You might have to scrap, pick, pull, punch in order to maintain your stance. But you have to be on what you are on. You have to stay on. You have to stay focused on whatever your goal and whatever your mission is. Now, I know some of y'all thinking, like, what do this got to do with the 2 thieves? I'm going to make it make sense. Just give me a minute. Okay? But this is the hero with 1,000 faces. All right? Now, In order to conquer your goals, in order to accomplish what needs to be accomplished, the biggest feat that you have is looking at the man in the mirror, to quote Michael Jackson. Now, when Michael got fed up and they started coming at him, the industry started coming at him, and they started forgetting that he was a man, he said, listen, I'm fucking up. I done got outside of myself. I done got caught up in Michael. I got to start with the man in the mirror and ask him to change his ways. Okay? You have to start with the person that's in the mirror. How many of us know people who blame everybody else for their problems and don't nobody ever look in and say, maybe I'm the problem? If you keep on running into the same shit every place you go, in every situation you in, with every person that you deal with, maybe you are the problem. Maybe it ain't them, maybe it's you. Maybe you the one who don't know any better. Maybe you the one who ain't shit. Maybe you the one who breath stink. Okay, maybe you the one who made the potato salad. Okay? You know, you have certain people who come around in your life, and people who have identity issues or people who have a psychosis, they blame everybody else for their flaws and their shortcomings instead of the common denominator. Folks don't want to blame the common denominator. People want to blame everybody else except for the person who's most responsible for the situation. If you want peace in your life, if you want joy in your life, if you want prosperity in your life, it's simple. You have to tell yourself that I am in control of my life. And everything that happens, good or bad in my life, I have the power to control it. Because the things that are bad in your life, bad comes along with life, true enough. But you chose to put yourself in the situation of which the bad happens to you. The quickest way to get over it is saying, yes, I did that. I went there, I made that mistake. But I won't do it anymore. As long as you continue blaming others for your mistakes, as long as you continue pawning your shit off on other people, you can get by, but you're not getting away. All right? You can get by, but you're not getting away. Now, we have to go to John 4:4, and it says, dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. Because many false prophets have gone into the world. This you can recognize come in the flesh in the form of God. But every spirit that does not acknowledge Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming and even now is already in the world. Listen, and then it goes on to say, dear children, you are from God and have overcome them, because the one who is in you is greater than the one that is in the world. They are from the world, and therefore they speak from the viewpoint of the world, and the world listens to them. We are from God, and whoever knows God listens to us. But whoever is not from God does not listen to us. This is how we recognize the spirit and truth from falsehood. Now, the shirt that I have on today says elephants don't swat flies. This is what he is talking about in John 4:4. It's saying that we are on a whole new level. Okay, y'all know that it was a song that came out a couple years ago say, I'm on a new level. I'm on a new level. And so once we go and reach this new level, then it's a different conversations. Eagles don't fly at the same altitude as blackbirds, y'all. It's impossible. Eagles cannot fly at the same altitude as blackbirds. Blackbirds ain't got the wingspan nor the lung capacity to go that high up. They don't have that lung capacity to go that high up. Okay? Moving right on along. Now, in us moving along, we have come to the word rebel. And when we are talking about the two thieves that hung on the cross with Jesus, in Aramaic Hebrew, if you go to the New American Standard Bible, which is the closest depiction or the closest copy that we have of what was actually said in the original Bible, then we see that the two words, or the word that was spoken of when they mentioned the two guys who were on the cross with Jesus, was rebels and or robbers, but the word was rebel. And to rebel comes from a French word, an old French word, means rebelle. Okay? It means you're stubborn, you're obstinate, and rebellious, directly from the Latin of rebellis, insurgent, rebellious, to rebel, to rebel or revolt, to be opposite or against, or perhaps again. So this basically means, in layman's terms, that you oppose the status quo. You oppose the status quo. Now, in this specific sector of the YouTube streets, is filled with people who are opposed to the status quo. And that word thief in the Bible, when it talks about Jesus hung on the cross with two thieves, these were two people who were in opposition of the status quo. That's all that it was. These folks were not in alignment with the posture of the territory that they are in. If you don't do things the same way, act the same way, roll the same way, smoke your weed the same way, drink the same liquor as some people, as everybody else, some people gonna have a problem with you. But you were made as an individual. Okay, and so when you maintain your individuality, that's rebelling, according to the scriptures. Okay, so let's move right on along. Now, everybody has two voices in their heads. And when you're talking about the two thieves that hung on the cross, these were two opposing voices. This was not something that was supposed to be taken literal. It said that this is an idiom or a parable, meaning that it is a fictitious story, it's a made-up story. Okay? And what the two thieves in that story represented was the internal strife of the good versus the evil that we all face. You got the good you and the bad you. You got the part of you where you might get mad and you want to might want to go shoot up the whole neighborhood. Then there's another part of you who say, man, listen, I need to calm down. I got these kids. Man, I ain't trying to be sitting up in jail. That's the other part of you. But most people try to aid the part of you that says, okay, I just need to calm down. And then they would totally neglect the other side of them that says, let's shoot it up. But you have to have balance in all things in your life. You have to have balance in all things in your life. People try to rebuke bad feelings all the time. Bad feelings aren't meant to be rebuked, okay? You can't be one way all the time. And this is where drug addiction, alcohol addiction, porn addiction, all addiction comes from an imbalance of the two opposing parties that are going on in your mind. People who are potheads, people who are drunks, folks that have addictions they only want one feeling, okay? But you have to run through the gambit of emotions and the gambits of feelings in order to be alive. That's part of being alive, is running through the gambit of your feelings. All right? So let's move right on along. Now, the person that originated this doctrine was a guy by the name of Hermas or Hermas. Now, Hermas was in the biblical scriptures. I want to say they were written in 140 AD. I think it's called the Gospel of Hermas. The Gospel of Hermas. And these are some of the forgotten books, or the Shepherd of Hermas. Okay. These are some of the books that they left out of the Bible. Okay. There was a 325 council in Constantinople, Europe, that basically decided what the Abrahamic religions were going to be, and it has been in practice up until this day. But that story that you heard in the Bible about the two thieves hanging on the cross, that story originated with this guy by the name of Hermas, and this is in like the year 100 AD. Okay, so this is before the Christ era. Now, Hermas was a freed slave. Okay, he was a slave that was freed. And he had a brother named Pius, who was the Bishop of Rome. Now, he wrote his own scriptures. Now, within his scriptures, let's move right on along. And as you see here, this is a bust of him that they found in Carthage, the same place where Hannibal Barca, the guy who was really the person that was depicted as riding the elephant back that's on my shirt. He was from Carthage, but let's move right on along. Now, the book that they wrote about Hermas was called The Shepherd of Hermas. All right, and then they found this out about, again, Anti-Dominion 140 to 150. And this references the idea of two angels of a man. One is with the righteousness and the other one is with the iniquities. Now these angels turn, they descend into a person's heart and then try to guide your emotions. But listen, you have to trust the angel of righteousness. Okay? Now, this is a depiction of a black shepherd leading his sheep. Now, many people don't understand that when you go to church, the pastor is the shepherd. He's leading the sheep. The sheep is you. Now, sheep are dumb animals. All right? But let's continue. This concept started with Hermas. Now, in the Bible, you had two thieves. Now, these were the two opposing ideologies or two opposing parts of Jesus's mind. Okay, this is the story that is attempted to be told in the Bible. A lot of people take this as literal. It was not a literal story. This was a figurative story. Okay, now the Roman Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, has named the righteous thief Saint Dimas. Okay, now he said that it was one man that lay to his right and one man that lay to his left. And the Gospel of Mark interprets this as the fulfillment of the prophecy in Isaiah 53, verse 12. Now, it talks about in verse 39 of Matthew 27:38, it says, now one of the criminals hanging from the tree reviled Jesus, saying, you are not the Messiah. The other rebuking him and said, in reply, have you no fear of God? For you are the subject of the same condemnation, and indeed we have been condemned justly for the sentence we received and correspond to our crimes. But this man has done nothing criminal. He then said, Jesus, remember when you said, come into your kingdom? And Jesus replied to him and said, amen. I say to you, will you be with me in paradise? Okay, so I want y'all to hold on to that. I want y'all to hold on to that statement. Now, the other thief, the thief that was mocking him, the thief that was doubting him, the part of your mind that says that I can't do it, when you are trying to think about or trying to plan out your method of execution, as we were talking about with the Rocky analogy, this other piece of your ideology that says that I can't do something, fuck it, we just gonna go ahead and give it a magnificent term and say that self-doubt, those self-limiting beliefs, those are this impenitent thief. Okay, this is the thief of self-doubt. Now this thief is coming in and is rebelling against your joy. This is rebelling against your happiness. All of us know somebody where you could be having a good day and you talk to one person and this shit fucks your whole day up. Some people have a bad aura and bad energy around them. Y'all know who I'm talking about, man. Some people just got bad energy around them and they leave a trail of smoke wherever they go. Those type of people. Okay? Now this impenitent thief was just that. Now, the passers-by and the chief priests mocked Jesus for claiming to be the Messiah, yet they were unable to save him. And then they were too crucified. If you read Mark's 15, 27 through 32, then you will see why it was that you had all of these self-limiting, or you had all of this doubt and all this humiliation going on with this crucifixion. All right? Now, if we go back to the righteous thief, the penitent thief, this thief said, listen, I'm in tune with you. I know that you could do this. I know that you are who you say that you are. I know that you are who you say that you are. He goes on again, and we're going to read this one more time, Matthew 27 through 38. It says, the other, however, rebuking him, saying in reply, have you no fear of God, for you are the subject of the same condemnation. And indeed, we have been condemned justly, for the sentence we receive corresponds with our crimes. But this man has done nothing criminal. Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. See, all that he wanted to do was, listen, I know what it is, but remember me when you get to where you going. It was, again, we have friends. We got something called survivor's remorse. Whereas when you will start Okay. Let's see. Shit. This shit is weird. Okay. So they done fucked up my oh damn. Damn. Oh shit, I didn't even know y'all was still up in here. Okay. Shit. Why is this shit not even I'm not even seeing it over here. Okay. Alright. What happened? But listen, I ain't doing no magic. Hold on. Let me see. Shit. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Alright, cool. Alright. My bad. My bad. Listen, I ain't even been able to see y'all comments or whatever for the last half hour. My bad. My bad. I've been so ingratiating in what I had to say. Okay, so now when we were talking about this thief, the righteous thief. Now this righteous thief was just a real nigga. And all of us have the real niggas that we roll with. You got that one partner where you say, listen, man, we got to go slide on some niggas. And this is the partner that ain't finna question it. That's the partner that say, all right, well, fuck it, man. I don't know why, but you need me. So we'll talk about this shit when we get back. But it's game time. Okay? This is the person that's with it. This is the person that says, all right, we have to work. This is faith, okay? What this thief represents is faith. Faith. Okay? Then they say that faith is the evidence of things that cannot be seen. Faith is the evidence of things that can't be seen. What this thief represented was faith. Taking a step out on a limb, standing for something. Because you have to remember that these thieves were not real people. These thieves, neither one of them existed. None of them existed at all. Neither one of these thieves existed. But anyway, as we continue here, then we have to be aware that obstacles get thrown in your path. But you have to remember your own greatness, because sometimes it's up to you to believe in you, because nobody else will believe in you. Ain't nobody gonna believe if you don't first believe in yourself. And some people get swayed by the numbers. Some people get swayed by the lack of support. But I believe in Kevin Costner in the Field of Dreams that if you will build it, then they will come. If you build it, then they will come. Now, but people are afraid to build onto something. People are afraid to grow. Now, Jesus in the Bible was a carpenter, meaning that he was a builder. With him being a carpenter, aka or Allah, a builder, then he was constantly moving. He was constantly making structures come out of his mind into fruition. This righteous thief, the penitent thief, represented that. And he said that, have you no fear, for you are subject to the same condemnation. And indeed, we have been condemned justly for the sentence we have received. But this man has done nothing criminal. Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come to your kingdom. Jesus replied to him and said, Amen. I say to you today, you will be with me in paradise. Now, what is paradise? Paradise is a Persian word, aka Babylon, aka the Israel or whatever, because Persia is a new name for those people there. But prior to them being there, they were called the Babylonians and the Palestinians and all of that shit. But it's a Persian word, and it's used in the Septuagint, which is another form of the Bible, as the translation of Eden, which means an orchard of pleasure in fruits, a garden or a pleasure ground. Pleasure in fruits, the fruits. Something like a park. And so Jesus told the penitent thief, he said, you will be with me when it's time for me to reap my pleasure. You will be with me when it's time for me to reap my fruits. You're going to be with me when it's time to pay for all of the things that we have been putting the work in for. So I will close this out by saying, have you figured out what's your paradise? What does paradise mean to you? Have you ever seen paradise? Is paradise a real concept in your head? What is paradise to you? And the homework is to find your paradise. If you don't yet know where your paradise is, if you don't know where your paradise belongs, if you don't know how to get to paradise, it's your job and your responsibility to find paradise within yourself first before you put it out into the world. Find out where your pleasure is and find out where your fruits are. How many of y'all out there are mothers full time, but you never take a day for yourself and say that I'm going to enjoy my fruits today. I'm going to enjoy the joy of the world today. Or listen, I give all my time to my job. I give all my time to my kids. I don't get no time for me. But a lot of us are worried about the wrong things. We worried about what others will think of us instead of what we think of ourselves. Okay, when I'm out in the world, I might run across somebody and say, yeah, I like him. I want to give him some pussy, but I don't know if he gonna think that I'm a hoe. It's important what you think you are. Do you think that you a hoe? If you don't feel like that, then you good to go. You can't be worried about somebody else's interpretation of you. You can't. You have to be in tune with you. It's players out here, it's fellas out here that like a woman, that will be in tune with somebody, that will be feeling her, but then they will be afraid that she might leave him if she find out that he broke or that he fronting or that he ain't got no money. That's somebody who ain't found paradise. Once you find paradise and you know your fruits, because paradise means the garden. When we really get down to it, paradise means the garden. the garden of pleasure. And so if you are still uneasy or you unsure about what's going to be the result of anything that you do, then you are somebody who does not yet know what's the yield of your garden. You don't know the yield of your garden. And if you don't know the yield of your garden, then you sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Check out the garden, y'all. And that is my show for today. Or tonight, if you will. That is the show for tonight. What is the yield of your garden? What does your garden yield? Are you in a harvest season? Or are you in a season of abundance? Or are you in a famine? Okay? Or are you in a famine? A lot of people are in famished and they're afraid to admit that they are in famished. You better keep it real with yourself if you don't be real with nobody else. Now, time is out for faking until you can make it. All right? And if you want to reach paradise, then you need to find out where your blessings are. Because there could be a blessing with your name on it. If you believe that there's a blessing with your name on it, write blessing in the chat. If you believe that there's a blessing with your name on it, write blessing in the chat.
Makes no difference what you're going through. You're gonna make it. God's gonna see you through. Hold your head up. Put a smile on your face. This is another test. It won't last always. So get ready. Get ready for your blessing. For your blessing. Get ready. Get ready for your miracle. For your miracle. It's gonna be alright. Troubles and trials come to make you strong. Keep on believing. You keep holding on. Get ready. Get ready for your blessing. For your blessing. Get ready. Get ready for your miracle. For your miracle. Get ready for your blessing. For your blessing. Get ready. Get ready for your miracle. For your miracle. Thank you, Jesus. God's got a blessing. God's got a blessing. Everybody say that with me. God's got a blessing. God's got a blessing. If you really believe it, God's got a blessing. God's got a blessing. Come on. God's got a blessing. God's got a blessing. Oh, yeah, yeah. Come on, God's got a blessing. 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 With your name on it. With your name on it. God's got a blessing. 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 With your name on it. With your name on it. With your name on it. With your name. God's got a blessing. God's got a blessing.